This is the new Sun and Fun kit that the Stamps of Life has put out. It includes a new color called Peacock, which is this deep, rich teal, and it's just beautiful. It also includes a paper pad and other embellishments, including ribbon, enamel dots, cutouts, and some flowers. For my first 5 cards, I decided to use the Sunglass Folded. This is my first card. As you can see, I used the hibiscus stencil to do the background. So I just used white cardstock, 3 different colors of ink, and used the stencil to create the background. Then I cut it out using the folded die, and then a light blue cardstock, and then the teal glitter to make those. Then I added the hibiscus flower, the flower dies on each of the edges of the glasses, and some flip-flop stickers that I have in my stash. No idea how old those are. And the wander sticker as well. And this is my first card. For the second card, I decided to make graduation since it's June. I cut out a diamond out of black cardstock and yellow strips of paper for the tassel. I then cut out Bright Future using Altenews Tall Alpha. Put it together for a graduation card. For my third card, I decided on a happy birthday theme. I used yellow, pink, and blue cardstock and cut out the candles using the strips of paper from the paper pack. And then I just cut out candles and went over them with some yellow ink. The sentiment, happy birthday, and the candles on your cake are so bright I had to wear my shades, is from the Sunglasses to Stamp. And that's card number 3. My fourth design, I decided to make some cards since my brother's expecting twins. I thought it would be cute to say, I thought I was seeing double, now I see it's just twins with the sunglasses. And then also, double trouble is coming, twins. Now these embellishments that I used, I cut out using my Cricut. So the only thing the Stamps of Life here is the actual sunglasses folded. For the fifth design with the sunglasses folded, I decided to make a fish themed, sort of like you're looking at the ocean. So I chose 3 different colors of teal and blue that sort of coordinated and would look good with the peacock accents on some of the embellishments or some of the die cuts here. And so I've put those 3 together, and now I'm going to put this dolphin, but he's obviously too big to be in the glasses completely, so I'm going to have to trim him up. Plus, I want to make sure that my sentiment will fit. I looked at some other dolphins, but they were bigger, so I decided to keep this one. So the sentiment I have is from the from the sunglasses to stamp, but I'm using it with the dolphin here, and it's Fun in the Sun. And I'm going to stamp it eventually with the peacock color, but I wanted to make sure that I could get the dolphin in here first, so I had to trim his tail, and as you can see, I had to trim it twice to make sure I got him in there. And now I've got room for the sentiment to go in there, Fun in the Sun. And now I'm going to just go ahead and add the other embellishments or die cuts, the fish and the starfish. I'm going to put the starfish in each corner of the glasses to make it look like they're the connection pieces, if you will. And then I think that the fish need to look like they've got some bubbles. So I've got some Studio Katia, I think it's called Silver Foil Confetti. And I'm just going to put some glue down, art glitter glue, which I love, and put some little bubbles. Now I realized that the 2 little fish wouldn't have as big of bubbles. So I've got these other sequins that are just left over from another kit, and I'm just going to use those. I don't remember the kit, unfortunately, but they're just little silver dots. And the glue will dry clear, so you won't see them. So now I'll just go ahead and glue this card to the card base. And as you can see, I've got that little bit of white extra at the top, so I'll just take my scissors and trim that off so it's a finished card. And of course, I made 2. So for my 6th design, I've switched over to the A2 size cards. Now this yellow and white paper with the tropical leaves is from the Tropical to Stamp collection when it came out. So I'm not sure if it's still available, but I've layered it onto some green cardstock. And then I've also cut out the Sun and Fun die that came with the Sun and Fun kit. So I've put it on some acrylic, or excuse me, not acrylic, some adhesive sheets from the Stamps of Life. And now I'm going to pull that off and stick it on there. And as you can see, I'm really struggling to get the letters off, and in fact, I'm doing it wrong. What I should have done is pulled off just the letters, because that's all I want on this card is just the letters on the white background. And instead, I'm pulling the whole thing off and just really screwing it up here. Silly me. So I'm going to struggle with this for a minute, but eventually I'm going to just give up, pull the letters out, put the whole thing down for use on another card, and then one by one put the letters onto the white paper with the rectangular outline that you see there just to the right of the white cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so we can get through all my mistakes. Finally, I got all of the letters together. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the card. I'm going to put it in the lower right corner. And then you can see I've got the reverse image that I can use on another card later. And I'll go ahead and attach this to the card base. And once I do that, I'll get the 3 hibiscus flowers added. I've got 3 different color hibiscus flowers to add. And I'm going to glue the first 2 down. So I'm going to go with the yellow first. I'll put it down. Then the pink. And then I'll add their little stamens. I think that's the right word. And in order to make them pop, I've chosen different colors for each one. But they, of course, are all going to coordinate together. And for this last one, I'm going to go ahead and pop it up using some pop dots. And add that last stamen. And now these are good to go. And of course I made 2. So for this next A2 size card, I decided to go with a happy birthday theme. So the sunglasses here were one of the die cuts that came with the kit. So I decided to pull out the stamps from that sunglasses to stamp and use the happy birthday in each of the lenses. So I've got some scrap paper left over from the other cards that I created. And I'm going to go ahead and line this up. That green cardstock is cut to 4 3/8 by, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So that the strips that I'm laying down would be the 4 by, 5 once I add the sunglass paper. So I've left a little bit in between each one. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the sunglass paper on top. And I'm going to make sure I line it up at the top first so that if there's any gap, I can cover it. And I'm going to cover it with this Love from Lizzie pinstripe. Now, Love from Lizzie is something that I love. These are pinstripes, and this is the green foil. And these Love from Lizzie is based in the UK, so you do have to pay international shipping charges, but the sheet itself is only like $1.25 each. And you can even save more if you buy them in packs of 4. So it's really a great bargain, and once you buy enough of them, the shipping really isn't so bad. So now that I've got that attached, I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the card base, and then I can continue to add the embellishments, or the die cuts really. So I'm going to go ahead and add these glasses. Now, unfortunately, I rip it right here, and I was very upset with myself. So I thought, well, let me just try and see if I can make it look okay. But once I laid it down, I realized you could see the tear, and that wasn't going to work. So pull that off, and have to go get another one to stamp and set up. So going back to the kit where I put all of the die cuts, I found a pair of green sunglasses that would coordinate, and I got the stamps back out for happy birthday. I'm going to line those up on the glasses, and then I'm going to stamp it using that Ranger Archival ink in jet black. And I didn't realize that this is almost off camera here. So I'll get some good ink on there, give it a press, hold it for a minute to let that ink transfer, and then pull it up. And there we go. So now I'm ready to go. I'll let that dry for just a second and go ahead and attach this flower. And again, I'm going to pop it up. Add the stamen. And now I can come back and add the sunglasses. The non-torn sunglasses, of course. And there you have it. And I did make 2 of these cards as well. So for card number 8, I used the Birdie Pudgy 15 to cut out the birdie die cut that came on the paper pack. And then again, I'm still using up the old paper from the original Tropical, and I'm going to include this strip on the inside of the card. Then on the outside card, I've already stamped the Happy Birthday from the Birdie Pudgy 15 stamp set. And I'm going to attach that to a pink card base. I thought that coordinated well. And then I also used, I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the card base. And then I used the Birdie Pudgy outline to cut out some craft foam so that I could pop up the bird. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. And then I'll be able to adhere it to the card right in the center. Let's give it a good press all the way around on each of the edges to make sure that it's sealed. And again, I cut that out using that shadow die or the outline die. That makes sure that you get a perfect cover for the whole die, or for the whole die cut. And I'm going to go ahead and add it. And then to finish off this card, I'm going to add some enamel dots. Now the enamel dots that came with the kit weren't quite the right shade of green. So I pulled out an older set of enamel dots, and I'm going to adhere those. And I'm going to go from the biggest to the smallest, using that green, that shade of green, which almost perfectly matches the bird and the leaves. And that one was a little low, so I bumped it down, and then I got it too low, so I had to bump it back up. There we go. And of course I made 2. So for the 9th design, I decided it might be fun to use the floaties and make them look like they're floating in the ocean. So I'm going to use this paper that has blue wave looking from the kit. And I'm adhering that to some pink cardstock. I chose pink since the die cuts have pink in them, and I was hoping that it would highlight it. Then for each of the, or for the 2 floaties, I've attached some glitter cardstock across the bottom just to give them a little pop when they're sitting in the water. It'll just give it a little bit of a glittery effect, and it'll make it look kind of fun. So here's the reverse outline of the Sun and Fun that I used on the other cards. So I've attached it here in the top left corner. Then I'll attach each of the die cuts of the floaties with that extra little glitter space. Then I'll trim off the excess here, giving it a rounded shape so it looks like they're kind of just sitting on the glitter. Almost like it's glistening on the water, if you will. Then I'll add the other die cuts just to give some added fun to the card itself. Now, I don't add a lot of dimension to my cards simply because it's cheaper to mail them that way. But you certainly can, and when I know I'm going to give it in person, I add a little more. And I made 2 of these. So for the 10th and final design, I decided to use the waves again, but I actually wanted to cut them out using a wave die. So this is the Pretty Pink Posh wave die cut. It's a stacked edges, and then one of them is a scallop. So I used it to cut it to make it look like waves. And I'm going to place each of these back on here. And so what I'm going to do is start at the bottom, put down the first one, making sure to get it all the way to the bottom. And then I'll add each one above it. First, I want to make sure I've got it straight on the bottom, so I'm using the lines of the paper on the back to make sure it's straight. And that was assuming that I had cut it straight, which apparently I didn't. And so this first one is going to be a little off, and you can see by the time we get to the end, it's a little off at the top. But for now, it'll look okay. You'll hardly even notice. So I'll get them all added, and then I'll go back and trim the paper back down to the 5 1/4 by 4. And so I start first trimming up the side that's off so that I can use it to cut straight lines the rest of the way. There we go. And I'll go ahead and attach that to a blue, or actually it's a piece of teal cardstock. And I can see that I didn't have it quite right measured, cut down, so I'm cutting a little bit more off so that it'll fit on there perfectly. There we go. And so now I'll be able, I'm going to add this dolphin, but I want his tail to make it look like he's coming out of the water. So I pull up just that little bit, cut off his tail, and then I'm going to glue him in so that it looks like he's jumping out of the water. And then I'll go ahead and add the other embellishments as well, or the other die cuts. I keep calling them embellishments. Actually, obviously, I've attached this to the card base. This is just a scallop, or excuse me, a circle that was cut out with the Have a Fantastic Birthday, which comes from the Dolphins to Stamp. And then these other die cuts were from the kit. And I'll just get them placed around to fill up some of that space. And I did make 2. Here's a recap of all of the cards I created using the Sun and Fun kit from the Stamps of Life. There are 10 unique designs, 5 size A2 and 5 using the Sunglass Folded, which is a Slimline size, and they will fit in the number 10 envelopes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments if you have a favorite card. Also, in the comment or in the description, I will provide links for the products used.